He may not get his jersey in the rafters. However, his name will ring on in Chuddy's Corner intro lore forever.
That it will.
That it will.
Why didn't you immediately call timeout or just commit a foul like anything?
I feel like sometimes he's like I'm buying into like
sure
the Celtics tough guy shit.
Yeah. But we don't.
We need an adult. You need an adult to be like,
it shouldn't be on him. No. Yeah. It shouldn't. I'm not made a comment about like saying that Huff. He's actually like sneaky athletic, and Jrue immediately calls him out. He's like, "What's sneaky about it?" And Scal just straight up like, "Well, he's like white, has a beard, and like, exactly."
And they got Russell Westbrook is what they got.
And Westbrook's actually been pretty good. He's been one of their like
decent,
better
He's
moves.
actually decent, yeah. Yeah, it's true.
But
sorry, Westbrook.
No, he didn't deserve that strength. But
strip the bolts on them. Should've never sent him to pick up the work for him. Sprayed the park and had my shit inside the car. Marcus Smart Boy was shooting with a 36 on him. Said if he wasn't in the rush, they was all
right. Greetings, Chudlings. Welcome to another episode of Chuddy's Corner. It is Saturday, December 7th, and the Celtics lose one at home to the Memphis Grizzlies. 127-121. They fall to 19-5 on the season. Marcus Smart's homecoming back to Boston. Obviously, he didn't have a great night. We'll get into the whole breakdown of the game. This was, again, a fun game to watch, a good game to watch. The Celtics just could not hit shots. They weren't making shots. I think that's what it comes down to. In my opinion, we'll get into that more. But, Chuddy, I'll go ahead and bring you in here. What did you think of this matchup? How are you doing on the Marcus Smart return? And, what did you see tonight?
Yeah, I saw a good matchup of a really, really good Western Conference team that came in, kind of took it to us. You saw the effect, I thought, of the Celtics being obviously on a back-to-back, fifth game in, 7 days?
7 days.
And it kind of, you could see it caught up with them, and against a team that'll make you pay for it with the Grizzlies. Unbelievable energy and intensity they brought from minute one. They get up and down so fast. And they're a team that if you're kind of going through the motions and not fully engaged, they'll make you pay. And you saw that tonight. It was a battle and they were up for it. And, a lot of it was their main guys, but there wasn't a big drop off when it went to the bench either. So again, kind of what we talked about in the preview, what we expected to see, I think is what we saw. And everyone who's been sleeping on the Grizzlies, or maybe not even sleeping on them, but just not really too familiar with how they've been playing, you got a good taste of it tonight. Good looking team. And I think you can bemoan some of the issues the Celtics had. Obviously not a great shooting night. Obviously didn't play the best defense. Obviously looked a little tired, but overall I thought really good job by the Grizzlies. And they pretty much took it to us for 48 minutes and deserved the win.
Yeah, there's definitely no doubt that the Grizzlies deserve that win. I think the easiest excuse is you can say we played 5 games in 7 days. That's a lot of basketball games. Yeah. I know that there's been guys that have had days off in between that and things like that. So, if you wanted to kind of get honest, if you wanted to push back with that, I would say that's fair. But I think honestly, to me, what this one came down to was just like the shots just weren't falling, and it's not that they were bad looks. We can talk a little bit about what they were doing with Jrue Holiday. They were kind of giving Jrue Holiday almost that treatment that Jaren got when he just kind of made against the Warriors last year, where he made them pay. On this side of it, Jrue wasn't necessarily making them pay with the open shots. But I guess let's start there. What did you think of what they were doing with Jrue? Because again, he finished 8 for 26, 4 for 17. It was like a crazy amount of threes by him. And again, they're giving it to him, so he has to take those shots.
Right.
They weren't going in. I'm not saying I'm not panicking about it, but we saw how well it worked out with Jalen. It's kind of the other end of that coin, though.
For sure. And I think we talked a lot about how when you face the Celtics, you really do kind of have to pick your poison. The Grizzlies made a pretty clear choice of what they were going to do. And I would say it was a little different from the Jalen thing, because they still had Jalen is obviously a guy who's like a lead initiator. And I feel like Jalen was dribbling into a lot of those threes, and he would bring the ball up and just be like, wow, you're sagging that far back. Okay, I'll shoot it. Whereas Jrue was more of he was off ball, and it was like they were using a guy like Jaren Jackson as a roamer, kind of like just basically ignoring him and playing rim protector, kind of like what we used to do with Rob Williams, where he'd be like, all right, find the least threatening shooter and just ignore him. It's how they were treating Jrue. And it was odd. I mean, the numbers, if you didn't watch the game and you just looked at the box score, you'd probably be like, 17, 320. Yeah, like
that?
insane.
Seriously.
But again, none of the shots really felt out of character for him, out of rhythm, or like he was forcing it. It's just, again, if you're in there, I mean, kind of in that situation, the worst thing you can do is stop shooting. So obviously unfortunate that he didn't make more of them. But I mean, I think in terms of like from Jrue's mindset, you got to stay aggressive. You got to keep shooting them. And, you know, if you're getting good looks, take them. I would hope that in the future he'll make a few more. And I think he started out like 3 of 8 too. He made like 3 threes in the first. So at first it kind of felt like it was going to be another case of like, all right, like you picked wrong. But you know, it worked out in their favor in the long run. And obviously if he goes 4 of 17 on threes, will more than live with that. So again, could have made up for it in other ways, but that's, you know, if you just look at it, if you think of yourself as like, all right, we have to go face the Celtics team, like what are we willing to live with? I think that is probably it. And, you know, if we're sitting here talking about a Celtics win, even where Jrue hits 10 out of 17 threes, I think if you're the Grizzlies, you're still like, shit, we'll live with that. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. If that's the way that we're going to go down, so be it. But they made him our highest volume guy. And, you know, the Jays were like not playing bad, but they just weren't as highly involved. So again, anytime if you're the opposing team, you can make Jrue Holiday the leading scorer, field goal attempter for the Celtics, I think that's a win. So obviously there's some adjustments that can be made by the Celtics. Obviously you hope, you know, Jrue will shoot better. He's hadn't played in a while, played really well last night, and then has the back-to-back. I'm sure that's a little part of it, and I think a little part of it probably just kind of being caught off guard by the weirdness of what was happening. But all in all, I mean, you got to kind of tip your hat to Taylor Jenkins and the Grizzlies and say, hey, you know, we've seen teams try a lot of things against the Celtics. This was probably one of the more effective strategies we've seen a team use.
Yeah. And I want to say, too, just to kind of, we're not jumping on Jrue about this. Like, they're leaving him open. He's taking good shots. But even without, if you take away, he was, what would we just say, 4 for 17? If you take that away, the team shot 14 for 43, not counting the Jrue's, which was 32%. As a team overall, they shot 30%. So it's not like I don't think Jrue was, you know, he didn't shoot them out of it. Those shots are open. He has to take it. So, you know, overall, I thought the shooting was just terrible tonight, from the threes to the free throw shooting. It just felt like an off game. And like I said, the easiest thing is just chalk it up to they played 5 games in 7 days now. That's hard to do. Guys are tired. Yeah. We play 4 games in the next 2 weeks, which is crazy considering what we just did.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, this was just a game where, again, I think it's easy to kind of get get a little fired up and get a little nervous and have all these, when they shoot as many threes as they did and don't make as many as they did, it's easy to pull that out. But it's hard to panic with this team, and I just don't think anyone's there. I haven't seen a lot of that. I know we see a lot of that usually on Celtics Twitter, people freaking out. I did see a couple people like, they can't keep doing it. If they're not shooting it, do more. They were good looks. They're taking good looks. They just weren't falling. No, and the Grizzlies are a very good team, and they're coming into here, I think, with something to prove. I think for them, Marcus Smart, they might have been trying to do something for him, play the hardest for him. But we're going to get teams' best shots every game, and the Grizzlies just caught us again on the 5th game in 7 days, and they beat us by 5, 6 points. 6 so it's points. Like, again, and I was having a little bit of this conversation afterwards, where it's like, you know, is it more frustrating to lose a game that it feels like you're in the whole time and could have won and could have gotten it, or is it easier to just like get crushed by 30? And I was saying I'd rather this, because we were there. It was right there. Yeah, this team, it's like, we're not getting like worked and dominated by teams. We're still right there in all these games. So Celtics Nation, everyone just don't need to panic. This is a respectable loss, I think, to a team that's really good. And they caught us on a really tough night. But respectable. But we could have won this game. So I understand some frustration in this game, because I think we could have won it. But
yeah, I mean, it's fine if you want to be frustrated with losses. I mean, every time we lose, I usually get frustrated. But, like, no team, I mean, most teams in the NBA...
You don't. No, you don't. Every game, if we lose, you're like, well, you know, no big deal.
Yeah, I'm
which
able to.
I love about you. Don't get
I'm
me
able
wrong.
to
but-
take the big
'cause
picture.
I
I
panic.
promise you. I'm not definitely don't panic. I definitely do get frustrated watching.
No,
the
that's what I'm
games.
saying. I panic, so
I
I
don't
like your
panic.
good yin to
No,
my
no.
yang. But
But I mean, I just don't get like again. This is about as excusable of a loss as I could ever be. Like you said, fifth game, 7 nights, playing a team that's extremely up tempo, physical. Took it to us. Most teams are just not even, competing. And the fact that we hung in there, even on a night where the threes weren't going, and actually took the lead in the fourth quarter, played so well that we could have won.
could have
against-
won, absolutely.
Against an opponent that came in and played great and is really good. And I think, obviously Jrue 4 of 17, Tatum 1 of 10 from 3, Porzingis 3 of 10. So you just combine
The
those.
threes are just terrible. Yeah, I mean
Those guys,
that's
but I
how
mean
we
those
win
three
games.
guys is kind of it right there. Just all had brutal shooting nights. But
Yeah.
honestly, I'd say a bigger reason we lost the game even than that was the defense. Just leaps and bounds different from last night, what we saw against Milwaukee. And again, that's what it is. It's that game. The team is just tired, and the Grizzlies just took it to us. I think they realized, hey, we are the fresher team. Let's not let our foot off the gas. They didn't, and credit to them. They, got to us with their physicality, and I think that leads to some, tired legs by the end of the game, and that usually when you're tired, you're going to miss more shots. And, the free throws are a great example. The threes are a great example of a team that's just trying to do a little too much, lost our wind, and the Grizzlies realized it and took advantage. So, again, more credit to them. But again, anyone who's like, I keep saying that, coming back to that C word of concern, but to be concerned about any of this, to me, is absolutely ridiculous. It's
there's
all,
no need to
it's all
be
so
concerned.
explainable with the schedule and like what's happening. If, I don't think we're
Right.
going to see that kind of defense. And
It's a frustrating loss, though, but I don't think there's any need to be concerned.
Frustrating, yes, but if you're mad about
The free throw shooting
defense,
was infuriating, though.
Sure.
I feel like you kind of threw the free throw shooting and the 3-point shots in the same thing. I don't view those as like the same because I feel like a 3-point shot, you're obviously
miss free throws when you're tired.
You're obviously.
It's just classic case. That's
I get
tired legs.
Yeah, I mean,
miss
yes,
free throws.
I would say the data probably points to that, but I do just feel like it's like make a fucking free throw. Come on,
it's harder when you're tired, and also just looking at it, I think it's also clearly
were
the case because if you look at it across the
19
board,
of 28, 9 missed free throws. That's
but
brutal.
look across the board, no player missed more than 2 free throws.
We
So
just
it's just
shot
like-
a bunch, just a bunch of guys
But it's just
missing
like
one or
everyone
two.
was just a little tired and just missed 1 or 2, and they caught up with us and added up, and it's like they all had like a weirdly like kind of off game, just all in the same night. Why would that all happen at once? Oh, they're all tired because they've been playing so fucking much. But especially after last night, a game that, obviously meant a little more against Milwaukee, and we saw the Celtics' best effort in a game that got super intense and had to grind for 48 minutes. And that's why it's crazy that anyone would be saying, like, oh my God, the Celtics, their defense isn't good enough. It's like, no. Last night when we were locked in, I think you saw how good the defense can be. Tonight, obviously didn't have it on that same level, but again, that's just what happens. I think if this was a normally scheduled game, it would have looked a lot different than it did. So I honestly give the Celtics credit for fighting as hard as they can, not going away when the Grizzlies were playing so well and making so many big plays. I mean, they're down, 12 at halftime, down as many as 14 in the third quarter, battled back, even had the lead in the fourth. So I think they played really well. And again, credit to the Grizzlies, not letting this one slip away and pulling it out in the end. Jaren Jackson Jr.
That's
so
what I was just going to say.
So impressive. He was amazing.
I was just going to say in the fourth quarter,
unbelievable.
That guy, I couldn't believe it.
It was so good.
That was crazy.
He was so good.
Yeah.
Honestly, just got to tip your cap. When he was making some of those shots by the end, I was just like, well, Jesus, if he's just not missing anything. So
I mean, he was 6 from 9. He had 14 points in the fourth quarter.
It was a little bit of everything.
It was
threes. He was taking it the left, the right, off the glass, the hook shot, the floater.
Well, and for the whole, the first, half of the fourth quarter, they had Tatum and Porzingis were resting on the bench, and I was kind of like, okay, put someone else in because this is not working. But even once they put Porzingis and Tatum in, he was still kind of getting his. So I mean, great night by Jaren Jackson. Like I said, we're the reigning champs. We're gonna get people's best efforts. The Grizzlies were definitely bringing it to us tonight, and I think it's partially that we're the Celtics and we're the reigning champs. And I wonder if part of that is just that everyone knew how much this game probably meant to Marcus Smart, who obviously he didn't have a great game. Has he not been starting for them, or is this because he's injured?
Since he came back, he hasn't been starting. But
okay, he was 1 for 11. He hit a 3. That was it.
Yeah,
but it wasn't a great night for him overall. I kind of feel bad, but
I mean, I think he's played fine. It's similar to the way we talk about Derek White, where when it's just the shooting means it's bad, but he's impacting the game obviously in a lot of ways. I thought it was hilarious that he immediately comes in and is just guarding Tatum, and doing a great job. But kind of funny. I think that one thing about that Grizzlies team is they're have a lot of guards and not many wings, so he kind of is forced to play like small forward, which obviously we know he can basically play any position. But
yeah,
they think that's
it's just
part
not
of
his bread and butter.
Yeah, and that's part of the starting thing too, where it's like Ja and Bane obviously going to be the starting backcourt. So are you going to start 3 guards? Is like kind of weird. So kind of just make more sense come off the bench. But I mean, he's going to play a lot.
Am I the only one that's like, it's kind of sad with that he has the short hair again? I was kind of like, oh man, I feel like it's I don't know.
Yeah.
I just hope he's happy. That's all.
I think
I just hope he's okay.
I think as long as he stays healthy, that team tonight is like the perfect team for him to be on. I think it's a great fit. A good team.
Oh, it's a great fit.
They play the style that he kind of is all about, and that team embodies like his style too. So I think it's a very good fit for him and for them. And I mean, I hope he's happy. I think he's playing a prominent role on a team that's, hey, I mean, we just saw they look pretty damn good to me. So
yeah, no, I mean, yeah, they are a good team because this is a team that people kind of got lost in the shuffle with it last year because they obviously had so many issues, injuries, other things like that.
Yeah,
because the year before that they were like, oh, they could win the West. They were great. Obviously, the things happened last year. I think they kind of fell off a little bit on it. But this is a really, really good team. I mean, OKC is obviously kind of leaps in. I'd say like ahead above everyone else in the West. Mm-hmm. But I think that this is still a team that is very dangerous. We talked about it in the last pod where you were saying where you have a lot of guys who wouldn't have gotten much opportunities to play if not for the shitty season last year. So now those guys are coming in now, and you sort of have guys that are confident where they might they might come into a game and they're not game breakers, but they're going to come into a game and have a serious impact because they've been in it. They know the NBA works. They know the speed. They know all that stuff. So this is a good Grizzlies team, and I think it's a great fit for Marcus, like we were talking about. But yeah, I don't know. It's just. I don't know. For some reason, every time I look at him, every time I'm watching him play, I'm just like, oh, like he misses us, like, and he probably doesn't. It's probably stupid, but it's just like I just feel bad about the way things turned out. Obviously, for us, it worked out. We won the championship. Yeah. I think at this point, you can't second guess that trade. You have to make that trade all the time. I even saw Marcus said that he's like, I get the trade. He goes, it just. The way I was told about it bothered him, which also again was a little shot to the heart for me hearing that part of it. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird seeing him playing against the Celtics, and this was obviously our first time doing it. But it was very strange seeing him going against us. I still don't like it.
Definitely strange. Definitely don't like it.
And I know we're I don't know. We might be in the minority because I talked to a lot of people, and people still are like. The way people discount what that guy did for this team, it still pisses me off. Like I got into an argument a few times tonight.
I don't think anyone's still saying that. You listen to the broadcast, you listen to that arena tonight, you listen to what Scal and Jrue were saying. I don't think there's anyone. Fair, yeah. No real Celtics fans are
well, there was at least 3 people that I interact with tonight that were saying that. So
Celtics fans?
I mean, from here, like
Celtics fans?
I wouldn't say Celtics fans. Well, exactly. I'd say
we said no Celtics
we'll say fans. When we win, they're Celtics fans. When we don't, they have a thing to bitch about. But again, just
nobody's,
to put it out there,
nobody's saying that.
This is a guy that we could have easily been like a team like the Wizards or like like all these teams that just become like embrace the fact that we're just going to suck for a few years. Yeah. But we drafted Marcus Smart and we never looked back. And that guy installed culture into this team.
Yep.
You can bitch about the amount of threes he shot. Sure. Whatever. But now look at what we do now. That would be so normal for me doing that. So it's like, if anything, he was ahead of the curve. Absolute Celtics legend. Like, disliking that guy to me just tells me that you're a fucking moron. And that's pretty much what we were just saying. But
disliking him is you're just not a Celtics fan.
Like,
I think that's
just a total culture changer for us. Like, I feel like people sometimes the way they talk, they think it's like he came after the Jays, and like just like it's like no, he was immediately culture changer. This could, like I said, we've seen what tanking teams look like, or teams that are half in, half out. We could have become that if not for drafting Marcus Smart, and then we became instantly. No, this is about winning. We weren't like title contenders, but it was like, but we aren't going to be fucking pussies. and like we're gonna fight every single game. We're gonna make the fucking playoffs. We're gonna make things hard for those teams we play in the playoffs who think we're gonna be easy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I love Marcus Smart. Fuck
Yeah.
it.
No, I mean, I don't. I feel like it's a straw man argument because there's no real Celtics fans who feel any differently. Everyone I talk to like I said, you heard what they were saying about him tonight on the broadcast, what the players said about him, what the guys around the team, what the broadcasters were saying about him.
That's why I
He's
get so
the
mad when I
epitome
hear people
of a
chirp.
Celtic. He's a Celtic. Like, he's a Celtic for life. He's the epitome of a Celtics. He is what it means to wear a Celtics uniform. He is that culture that's there now is largely thanks to him. Like, he's everything that you would want a player to be. And so, I mean, I don't know. He has the respect of everyone around it, and they all, I mean, you could just see it on the court, what he means to those guys, what he means to the city. Yeah, so again, I don't really I feel like we've said this a million times.
I hate that he had to go for it to work out, though.
Well,
it's still, when you just think about it, it's like, fuck, that did work out, though. It's like we lose this guy that I think is so awesome. It's like, well, it did work out.
I mean, yeah, I would argue that we gave up on this amazing. It was more the guys we got than what we lost, but
no, that's what. Well, it's like it's the trade. Like at the time when the trade happens, I was, I was concerned about Porzingis' health. That has turned out to be like half right, half wrong, but it all worked
proved
out.
to be a valid concern. Again, the thing that I say a million times to anyone who wants to go back and talk about the trade reaction is you can't judge it based on that because it's incomplete without the following trade for Jrue Holiday.
With Jrue Holiday,
Without that, it's just a completely different situation, and who knows what happens.
Like if the original trade of of Brogdon goes through, then we have Marcus instead of Jrue Holiday, and I would say like that team is still just as sick in that point. I mean, Drew's obviously nasty for us and whatever he brings like a different thing that Marcus didn't have because he wasn't a veteran like that, but. Well, I don't know. We don't need to relitigate. Go ahead. Whatever you had there.
Well, no, again, it's just we brought in two guys in Porzingis and Jrue that make over $30 million a year and have made all-star teams, and we got rid of Marcus Smart, who's amazing, but is a really good role player and made like $18 million a year. It's like, yeah, obviously the team should get better. And so for people to be like, see, we got rid of the cancer and now the team's good. It's like, no, we basically built a super team by bringing in two more stars. Like, focus on what we brought in, not what we gave. Like, I don't know. It's just, again, I agree. Anyone who is focusing on that is just like seeing what they want to see and it has like a preconceived bias or whatever. But,
100%. Yeah, 100%. And I do think I think it's a small number of people at this point. Again, the only thing that people really ever talk about is the amount of threes he shot, which when you look at what this team does now, that would blend in so perfectly. Like, who gives a fuck?
On a night where we just lost to him because Holiday shot 4 of 17 for 3.
Right. You got to think Marcus would have made more. No, yeah.
Classic.
No, it is. It's just tough because again, I really love the guy. I wish he was still here, but again, the results are the results, and everything you just said is true too. Is valid, true. But yeah, it was interesting. It was good. I'm glad he got to play though. I was just worried, where we didn't see him last year. I saw he had like a Band-Aid. He got headbutted today. He had blood in his shirt when they were interviewing him before.
Love that.
We love you, Marcus. Yeah, that's why we saw the intro music for the show.
Yeah,
it's hard to get rid of that.
Exactly.
The impact he made.
He built the culture of the team and the podcast.
He may not get his jersey in the rafters, however, his name will ring on in Chuddy's Corner intro lore forever.
That it will.
That it will. All right. What else do you have? I mean, on this game, I mean, obviously a shitty kind of loss, but is there anything you saw specifically that you're thinking about, or?
No, I mean, I guess that the interesting thing is the strategy of with Holiday, but again, like one.
Do you think more teams might try that?
I think they might, but again, I think it's harder. It's a lot easier said than done. First of all, you still have to have the personnel to match up across the board with the rest of the guys, and someone who can kind of toe that line. Because I think more often than not, you're going to see him make teams pay, and if he doesn't, then the Celtics will make a change, as they did, as you saw. What I alluded to recently, Peyton Pritchard closed the game, and you're not leaving him alone, so that'll certainly eliminate that possibility. So no, I'm not like. Again, I think teams will try stuff and see if something sticks, but I don't think that's like a legitimate strategy teams are going to suddenly employ, and that's going to be like the secret key to stopping the Celtics or anything like that.
I will say, as I was seeing it kind of unfold, I was sort of like, honestly, this kind of, I guess, makes sense because you can sit there and try to just guard guys and maybe get caught in like rotation and then just be fucked, and then you don't know who the open guy is,
Right.
or you could just pick one guy and be like, you know what? And if I were to pick a guy, that would be the guy I would pick.
Yeah.
Not that he's a good 3-point shooter or whatever, but but it's kind of like we can either let them choose who we leave open, which we've seen how that works out, or we can just pick a guy.
Right.
And so, I mean, again, I think in the long haul, Jrue will make teams pay for that, and the Celtics will adjust to that. But yeah, it was just kind of, as you're watching it sort of happen, you're kind of like, that's sort of like, I never really thought of like that as a way to stop us. And I think it makes sense. It was a good call. They have a good coach, good team. So,
yeah.
And like you said, too, they have guys who can match up the other 4 ways, too. You don't necessarily always have that.
Right.
But yeah, it'll be interesting if more teams kind of decide to take that approach of like, let's find a guy that we feel comfortable with and go with that.
Yeah. And again,
there's not a lot of them.
No, but I also just want to reiterate too, the Celtics still scored 121 points in this game. It was, ramp up more defensively, and this is a game they can still win even with, the shooting struggles and Jrue struggles and this, that, and the other. 121 points is a very good offensive output and would be enough to win most games.
Yeah.
I
was being talked into almost taking the under in this game, and I'm glad I didn't.
No, certainly not. So again, if we saw the defense that we saw one night ago against the Bucks, tonight was a very different game, regardless of how many threes Jrue Holiday makes. So,
right,
don't overreact.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Don't overreact to that. But cool that teams are trying shit like that on random like regular season games against us, kind of.
Yeah, I mean,
that
I it's always good to have a team a little bit shook like that. Yeah,
right.
Can't be upset with that.
Yeah.
All right. But you got anything else on this one? Or?
The only other things from this game, one, end of the first half, little scary situation where it seemed like Porzingis kind of like tweaked his ankle or something. Wasn't too sure what happened. Obviously, it seems like he was okay because he started the second half. But again, this happened last year too against the Heat. The same thing. When he first got hurt, I thought it was super obvious that it was like immediately like something's wrong. You could tell he was like hobbling, and they left him in for another like 2 minutes. He made a shot, so I was like, all right, maybe he's fine. But again, it's just like they let him play, and then they take him out, and he immediately goes to the locker room. It's like, well, what the fuck? Like, why didn't you immediately call a timeout or just commit a foul, like anything?
I feel like sometimes he try. He's like, I'm buying into like the Celtics tough guy shit. Yeah,
but we don't.
We need an adult. You need an adult to be like,
it shouldn't be on him. No. Yeah. Right. It's not his responsibility.
All the players are gonna want to play.
Exactly, but it's just I'm sitting here watching, being like, why the fuck is this guy still limping up and down the court right now? Like, just use a fucking.
Yeah, that was concerning.
Right. So again, hopefully he's fine. He played the whole second half, and I didn't look any worse for the wear. But just don't know why we even have to make that a thing at all.
Don't be ridiculous.
Yeah. And then we always seem to end with one funny moment from the broadcast. And tonight I thought it was funny. In the first half, they were talking about Jay Huff, who's a guy we love, who played well for Memphis. Another one of those guys they found on a 2-way who's just killing it for them. But Scal made a comment about like saying that Huff, he's actually like sneaky athletic. And Jrue immediately calls him out. He's like, what's sneaky about it? And Scal just straight up like, well, he's like white and has a beard and like, it's like
I mean,
it's like that's
you'd be surprised what I can do. Cartwheel, no deal, no big deal.
Right?
Like, no one thinks I can do a cartwheel. I can do a cartwheel.
Yeah. Well, we might have to post that. But it's just so funny. Like that's obviously what everyone means when they use all those like, oh, he's sneaky athletic. And Jrue was just like, we all know. Scal.
I feel like in basketball, and I hope this isn't controversial. In basketball, being like he's sneaky athletic, talking about a white guy is like the equivalent of like he's so articulate, like he's so athletic. It's like, oh, he's just white. Yeah, he's not really doing anything too crazy, but
right.
Yeah. No, that
funny moment.
That guy Huff was solid though. That was crazy.
Huff's
I was a little surprised. Yeah.
Huff is good.
He's good.
He's a guy who's 25 and has bounced around the G League, in and out of the league, 2-way contracts. Memphis is finally giving him a shot, and it's like, oh, it turns out this 7-footer who can protect the rim and hit threes is useful. Who knew?
Yeah, who'd have thought?
He was on Denver all of last year on their G League team. I wonder if they could use him right now.
the Grand Rapids Gold.
Your team.
The very same.
Wow.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right. Should we give it some Chuddy Chains?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. I think it was me. I think you went first last night.
Okay.
I'm going to give mine to Peyton Pritchard because that was a great bounce back night for Pritchard. He was scoring kind of all around. It wasn't like he was just doing, one thing well or not. It's he was getting in, making shots when he had to. Finish 6-11 from 3, 7 for 12 from the field. So I guess that just kind of deletes what I just said. He pretty much only shot one shot, not a 3. But he made 6 of them. So good for Pritchard. He had a good night tonight. Again, we had 0 points last night. So we talked about him bouncing back. It's good to see that he did. So my Chuddy Chain tonight. In the loss, we'll go to Peyton Pritchard, though.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'm going to give mine to our boy Nimi Skita, guy who's been in and out of the lineup. Feel like they haven't been going to him so much lately. He got the call tonight, first big off the bench, and I thought he was one of our most kind of energetic guys, which obviously when you got all these games, you're going to need guys like that who aren't playing every night to step up. His energy was on another level. I thought he was all over the place. We played a ton of those double big lineups with some of him and KP in there, both protecting the rim. It was like, holy shit, this is kind of cool. So love the energy he was bringing us. And it's just, I always think it's cool whenever it's one of those, whether it's him, Walsh, Peterson, any of these guys who they show up at the arena. They really don't know if their name is going to get called that night. And I just continue to be impressed really by all of them because it seems like whichever one it is on any given night.
Stay ready, baby.
Yeah, and they really do live up to that. And I thought Keita did that tonight and gave us really good minutes against a pretty good front line. So wasn't the best effort or energy from most of the team, but Keita is immune from that criticism. He gets my Chuddy Chain.
All right, good Chuddy Chains, good Chuddy Chains. Yeah, tough. This is a tough Chuddy Chains night, but I think those are two guys that are definitely worthy of it.
Oh no!
All right, let's pay a few bills, then we'll get to around the NBA. Shout out to the Chuddy's Corner sponsored by Nick Perino Real Estate. Check out nickperino.com for all your real estate needs. That's nickperino.com on a Saturday night. Shout out to me for hitting that. No issues. Check out nickperino.com for all your real estate needs. Local, statewide, nationwide, internationally. Nobody loves moving more than Nick, and nobody loves helping you move more than Nick. So check out nickperino.com. Both of the homes where Chuddy's Corner is recorded from are Nick Perino homes. So shout out to Nick Perino. Check him out at nickperino.com. All right. What do you have for us around the NBA? What's going on around the league?
So the first thing, I don't know how we haven't talked about this by now. I don't even know if this would qualify for around the NBA, but the fact that our boy, Jrue Carter, is a part of the Simpsons cast on ESPN. Did you see that? He's one of the guys in the Simpsons cast. It's like him, Orlovsky, and Mina Kimes.
What's the Simpsons cast?
The Monday Night Football game this Monday night. The Monday Night Football game is a Simpsons cast. It's like how they've done like other broadcasts.
The players will be like Simpsons characters?
Yeah, the whole thing is like Simpsonized. It's
That's so sick.
I know. And Jrue
is
like
still gonna have the Manning cast?
I don't know. I don't know exactly how it's gonna work, but
wait, so Jrue is one of the like play-by-play guys or something?
Seemingly, yeah. I think it's him. So I don't know if it's an alternate broadcast. I think and it's him, Mina Kimes, and Dan Orlovsky, and they all are like Simpsons. So you can see like there's a Jrue Carter Simpsons person right now. I think they might be.
I think that's his. I think it's his current Twitter avatar.
Probably.
Now. I was wondering why it's different.
That would explain it. But yeah.
Also, shout out to Scal for protecting Jrue tonight when Desmond Bain and Derek White
could have got ugly.
Could have got real ugly for him. He was their savior.
Yeah.
No, I didn't even know about a Simpsons broadcast, but I love everything you just described, and I love it even more to know that it's Jrue Carter that's involved in it. So that's solid to know.
Yeah, good for him. I feel like that's like the ultimate, like you've made it.
Well, because he's still also like ESPN, right? Like I feel like he does Sports Center every now and then. I don't know if it might be hard to do that now that he's full time, maybe in the off season or something like that. But I know that he is a ESPN guy too.
Right. Yeah, so this is, I don't know, like, I hope this isn't going to get in the way with other stuff, but this seems like a big step up.
Well,
kind
thankfully
of
we don't play for fucking 5 weeks.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's part of it, but interesting. I mean, obviously, good for him, very cool. We love Jrue, we love The Simpsons, so. Should be a win. Should be a win for all
Worlds are
parties
colliding.
involved, yeah. Seriously. But nothing wrong with that. Cool stuff. On a less cool note, news came in today that Franz Wagner, one of the best stories in the NBA this season, a guy who's kind of come out of nowhere and has really broken out during the Paolo Banchero injury as a guy who was trending in the direction of making an All-NBA team. He now has an oblique injury and will be out at least a month, maybe longer. So just brutal
what's your
blow.
oblique? Like your body? It's just like body?
Seeming. I think it's also, ironically, I think it's Banchero was an oblique injury too. So now they're two stars, both out with oblique injuries. Just tough stuff for a team that
they got to get the oblique. They got to get the best oblique guys in there.
Yeah, I guess so. But just, again, brutal to see for a team that had kind of taken that step to up there for contending in the East.
Is Paolo almost due to come back soon? I thought he was originally a few weeks.
Ish, but not still. I think weeks away probably.
That's too bad. The Magic, that's a team that's very good, and it's too bad that they keep getting kind of hit with these things.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, I guess if you want to silver linings to say, hey, they're off to a good start. I mean, they're, I think, third place, have a good record, and hopefully this, it's happening early enough that if they can just tread water, get those guys back, they can still be rounding into form, by the end of the season. But obviously, never ideal to have your two best players suffer pretty substantial injuries.
Obliques.
Damn the obliques. Gotta hate it. But
stretch those obliques, folks.
Yeah, exactly. That's the lesson here. As always, it's more
that's
stretching.
shitty. The Magic are really good. That sucks.
Yeah, I know. Very and Franz, seriously, the leap he's been taking, especially since Paolo's been out, has been like he's looked like a legit. He's been, I would say, no hyperbole.
Wait, was Franz or Mo the one that was supposed to be like nasty? Was Franz the one who was like more highly touted?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But Mo is still good. But I was saying, okay,
Mo's a solid.
I don't know if Franz was like
Mo's a solid
overpassing Mo. Yeah,
Franz is like no hyperbole. He was probably a top 10 player in the league this season.
Okay,
at this point, that's how well he's been playing
this season. Oh wow.
Yeah, he was taking that leap. So sucks to see. It's crazy that the Magic had two guys seemingly taking that leap and watched it be taken away by oblique injuries. So hopefully nothing
stretch
more
your
serious than
obliques,
that.
folks.
Yeah, good reminder as always. Beyond that, we don't have to go into anything too crazy. It was a great game last night after we went off the air. Lakers blew a huge lead to the Hawks, who came back, beat them in overtime.
I heard that.
Atlanta won on a Trae Young hit a three, and they left him alone. He hit a shot. Everyone's dumping on the Lakers, rightfully so. They just don't have it. But I actually want to focus a little on the Hawks. We saw them beat us. I love this Hawks team, and I feel like
they beat good teams.
They beat teams in general, though. They just beat a lot of teams. They're just on a roll, and I think they've figured some things out that we kind of alluded to, where I think they've realized, Trae has realized he has all these great players. He can be less the guy all the time and more of like a facilitator, and his assist numbers are crazy. I think he had 31 points, 20 assists last night. He's reminded me almost of like vintage Steve Nash, and he's now got all these young athletic wings who can run with him, and if they can like lean into this and really kind of find a way to maximize it, it seems like they really might be onto something. I'm high on this Hawks team, and I think the arrow is pointing up. So it's funny. I know we've talked about a lot how they're almost where it seemed like screwed with a lot of the things that have happened, but things are really falling into place. I think Jalen Johnson is like a legitimate star in the making. Dyson Daniels, unbelievable defensive player, and they've got depth in the wing. They've got shooting. They've got all these guys to cover up kind of all of Trae's flaws.
And Quinn Snyder's a good coach too.
Great coach, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And they're just allowing Trae to kind of focus on the things he's best at and not really making him do anything more, and it's working out really well. So they've quickly become one of my favorite teams to watch, and the results are there. So they could be a scary team if they keep this going. Good for them.
NBA Cup, look out.
Great Cup team, if nothing else. Yeah.
Great Cup team. Yeah, absolutely.
Great Cup team.
Did I see, too, that the Wizards beat the Nuggets tonight?
Yeah,
and
so that was the next
Jokic
thing.
had 56 points.
56, 16, and 8 for Jokic against the Wizards.
How do they lose that game?
And they lost.
It doesn't make any sense. Like
the rest of the team is not good. It's
concerning. So the Wizards have beaten the Hawks twice and the Nuggets once? Not bad.
Correct. And those are their only wins. They snapped a 16-game losing streak
Giant
tonight.
Slayers.
Yeah. But the Nuggets now 11-10. Not exactly great. They shot 5 of 24 tonight on threes. That is not good.
They only shot 24 threes. Shit,
which the Celtics attempted 24 in the first quarter tonight, for the record. Literally.
For those keeping score at home.
Yeah. So, and Jokic, I think he made 3 of those threes. Strother made 2 off the bench, and that was it. So other than it's bad. It's really bad. And all of this stuff.
So is Jokic? Is he signed with them long term?
Yeah.
Will they ever trade him? Do you think?
I don't. I really don't. How can you? But it's just
you could never get equal value.
Right. But it's honestly just, as a fan of basketball, and I think everyone who is a fan of basketball basically likes Jokic, because how can you not?
Right. Yeah.
It's almost just sad to see. As a Celtics fan, I'm kind of glad, because he's probably the scariest guy we ever play, and it's if he had a sick team, I'd be fuck.
That'd be brutal. Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's almost I feel bad that we're being robbed of this guy. If he ends his career with only 1 title, people are going to look back and talk about him in a way that I'm not comfortable with him being. He deserves to be in talks that, unfortunately, he probably won't be if his team can't kind of help him out. And it's just sad. It's just crazy to look and see at the actual players alongside him. He's never played with an all-star ever, which is insane.
Who's the coach? Is it Kroenke?
Is the owner? Yeah, Stan Kroenke.
I feel like he is kind of a guy that's because he's had all of his teams win 1 championship, and then I feel like it's from there it's all right, let's chill.
Definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're
definitely
right.
not known as a big spender. But I think that's part of it, and I think Calvin Booth, the GM, deserves blame too, because the moves that he's made, it's some of it is definitely on ownership. Just they could have just paid some people, but I think he's tried to get too cute. Thought he was kind of high on his own supply. He made a couple of moves in free agency that were this guy clearly thinks he's smarter than everyone else, and those moves have all kind of backfired. Yeah. And again, it's just this isn't the time if you're in a rebuild, you can take those random heat check type of moves where you're I think I'm seeing this thing, but
honestly, it can't be that hard to put 2 or 3 good players around Jokic.
Right, and that's
I feel like guys will want to come play there.
Exactly,
and they got Russell Westbrook is who they got.
And Westbrook's actually been pretty good. He's been one of their better
He's
moves.
Actually decent, yeah. Yeah, it's true.
But
sorry, Westbrook.
No, he didn't deserve that stray. But a lot of the other, again, it's this isn't the time to be tweaking stuff and trying shit. It's you have by far the best player in the history of the franchise at the absolute peak of his powers, playing at a level so high that, like you said,
better than your boy.
Who?
Better than your boy? The other number 15? Whose jersey's getting retired first?
Let's not get crazy. It's a joint.
You said it. I didn't say it. You said
joint
it.
Jersey
You said it.
But no.
Joint jersey situation.
In all seriousness, I think if Jokic had better players around him, he could easily be looking at his 3rd title right now, and we talk about 100%. Him moving into the top 5-10 players of all time. Rightfully so. I think he is there. And I think people who are able to look past the rings and really analyze it see that. And I think,
dude,
you and I see that.
One of his stat lines.
No, I know.
His stat lines is 30, 15, and 12.
It's
crazy.
Absolutely outrageous. But you know how it goes in this day and age, especially with the discourse, where it'll come back to, well, why does he have more rings and blah, blah, blah. And the reason why is because of his fucking teammates, his front office, so all these other reasons that are not him at all. But, there's never nuance in these discussions. So it's honestly, like I said, it's almost kind of depressing. And if this is just the way things go, and the thing is, there's no real fix. They have Jokic long term. They just re-upped Murray to a big deal. They just re-upped Gordon to a big deal. Porter's on a huge deal. Those 4 guys are basically taking up all the money.
And Kroenke ain't going in that Lux.
But also, even if he was, they can't. How can you do that? You just can't. The money is there.
They don't have a team already built, yeah.
Well, it's there's no move unless you just are going to completely blow up that core 4, which at this point, that honestly might be where they're at, because I just don't. Maybe that group was good enough 2 years ago when they won it all and they had better role players around them. But if you look at it now, it's just I don't. The NBA has gotten too good that I don't think Jamal Murray in his current form, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., that's just not a good enough 2, 3, 4 for a team that wants to contend for titles. I think that's the bottom line, and they're kind of stuck with it.
Yeah.
So, it's sad. Again, it kind of sucks.
It is. 56 points in a loss to the Wizards is tough. That's a wake up call. That's like that's the kind of thing that gets people started to ask some questions, and maybe that makes a change like we were talking about. But 56 points in a loss to the Wizards.
This is the first time where
ideal.
I've been thinking like, okay, do they straight up just have to break up the core? Because that's there's nothing else to trade. They have no picks. They have no like young guys who are going to fetch anything in return. So it's kind of like blow it up and try to completely rebuild again around Jokic. And at this point, maybe that's the move. I don't know, but times are tough for a team that I thought was probably as scary as any.
Going to be our biggest rival. Yeah. All right. Well, that's a good little recap around the league. We have Celtics. We played 5 games in 7 days. We play 4 in the next 14 days.
Hilarious.
Quite an interesting schedule. I don't know if you have any big plans for the kind of extra time. I know the broadcast last night, they were showing the schedule and Scal was like circling the
days off.
This is great. This is great. And I kind of turned to Mrs. Dugout's. I was like, honestly, like I'm with Scal right now. Like this is a grind. This week was an absolute grind.
Right.
But so on Thursday night, today is, by the time you listen to this, it'll be Sunday. We don't play again until Thursday. We're playing the Pistons. We played them again recently, so we probably know kind of what we're getting into. What do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, obviously a good team that's given us some fights. They had a really good win tonight, beat the Knicks. Cade had a massive triple-double. I think he had like 29, 15, and 10. So he's been playing good ball. Just a very solid team. But if I were them, I would not want to be playing the Celtics on 4 days rest. So kind of an unfortunate tough schedule for them. But, a good team that we have to take seriously. And a team that has some good players. So looking forward to it. I think we know what we're going to get from that team by now. And again, just kind of
exactly. If we come out and play our game, we should wipe them off the floor. But they are a good team. Or if we don't come out and play well, it should be an interesting game.
Yeah,
so
pretty much it.
We will get an interesting game. We'll see.
One thing too,
plenty of time off in between.
Yeah, for real. Before we end the show, not to go all the way back, but I don't know how we didn't bring up when we were talking about the game, John Morant's dunk. Doing the old Vince Carter.
Yeah. I honestly was looking through my bookmarks.
Holy shit.
Because there was a Vince Carter dunk that was like exactly.
That was the Vince Carter. Like that's what I'm saying. That was the Vince.
Dude, he's so good. He's so nasty. Like
also just hilarious too. Like a week ago, he had been interviewed and said he wasn't going to dunk anymore. I don't know if you'd heard that. He's
Why would he do that?
Well, because he keeps getting injured, and he's like, it's just not worth the risk. He's like, I'm not dunking anymore. I'm just going to do layups, and then he comes out and does that. It's just like, holy shit!
The sickest like double clutch reverse dunk, two-handed dunk,
and also it was so sick because it was actually like it wasn't just like a showboating fancy move.
He actually needed to finish the play.
And like it couldn't have been smoother.
Did you see Worldwide Wall tweeted out? It's like a side by side of Vince Carter doing like almost the same thing where it's like he had to dunk it up around somebody. I didn't see it,
but I was like immediately thought it in my head. I was like, that was the Vince Carter dunk.
Sick. But yeah, I mean, John Morant, hopefully that guy keeps his fucking shit clean because he is so exciting to watch. He's so fun to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right, well, we'll see everyone back here on Thursday then for the Celtics against the Pistons. Make sure you're subscribed to the Chuddy's Corner podcast. If you're listening, if you like the show, if you didn't like the show, subscribe and leave a comment. Either way, no worries. Check us out. We're on all platforms. Subscribe there. Check out our YouTube page. Subscribe there. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter, on X, at Chuddy's Corner. You can follow Chud. He's at King Chuddy. You can follow me. I'm at Doug_outs. We're excited to see everyone back here. Everyone enjoy your couple days off without Chuddy's Corner, but we will be back here on Thursday. Looking forward to it. All right, Chud, take care.
Peace out, Chuddy heads.